Hello, twinks and brunettes. This is a video I've been meaning to make since I've started my channel, and I'm finally doing it today. I got tired of waiting. I don't even know what I was waiting for, but apparently I was waiting for something. I was waiting for the right time, and this is it. So, what I've been wanting to do is a video about my gameplay rules and just overall rules I have and changes I made to the game so that it works the way I want it to work. I thought we could start with aging and then move to other stuff as I think about them, basically. Let me load into a random family just to see if I have things that I need to show in game. That way I'll see everything. Wow, that's a lot of flies. Anyway, first of all, I wanted to start with aging. So, I always age my Sims up when they are 1 day away from aging up anyway. I never let my Sims age up autonomously at 6 p.m. Simply because once they're elders, it won't say the right number of days old that they are. It's going to be, I think, two fewer. Even though technically they should have lived 2 extra days because they didn't get to age up at 6 p.m. on their birthday. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like all you need to remember is I age my Sims up 1 day away from them aging up by themselves. So when it says a little pop-up at the top here that says at 6 p.m. so and so is going to age up, I would age them up right away. That would be my pop-up that tells me it's time, baby. Now, my other rule is that every Sim has their allotted time on this mortal coil. I am not going to be using cheats or the elixir of life to make that longer. My aging system is already long enough as it is. See, Kit and Finnick here are both adults, but they've not been adults for a long time. And Finnick still has 36 days and Kit still has 34 days. Like, that's plenty of time. I don't want to make that any longer. And when they age into elders, they have between 15 to 20 days. 15 is like the normal lifespan, that you didn't do much. And the 20 days is like platinum. You did a good thing, you did a good life, so you get 20 days. I thought it was pretty believable to have like my Sims who did not necessarily have great health or great lives die at about 75. I thought that was generous of me. And my Sims that had, stuff that went well die between 80 to 90 because the game is always going to add extra days to Sims that had a good life. If they have great aspirations, if they consistently had great aspirations throughout their adult life, they're going to live longer as elders. But I think I kept it out at 90. So I'm not going to have any 100 years old Sims anytime soon, but 90 I think is already pretty generous of me because I don't like playing with elders. Well, I've gotten better at it, I think. I used to throw all my elders into a retirement home and I don't anymore. They live at home now. So I'm getting better. Now, aging wise, I also have to be careful with college, university. My Sims in university, I don't count that time as them aging. That time is frozen to me because it would mess up everything in the mainhood with the seasons and everything, the way I do my rounds. So it kind of has to be frozen time. Right now I have four little guys in college right here. What's going to happen basically is I have written down the guys that are in there and how many days I need to add to them once they come back to live with their parents. So for example, Aurora, I sound like I have a potato in my mouth. That's fine. Aurora, I need to give her plus 4 days because when I loaded into her house on the first day of winter, she was already 1 day away from becoming an adult. So I need to add 4 days extra to her lifespan once she finishes college for her to be the right age that she should be if she never went to college, if that makes any sense. 4 days for her. Brennan here is an extra day for him. And Waylon here is 3 days. I didn't write down what it is for Gail though. Did an oopsie. Say hi, Gail. You guys have no idea who these people are. It's so funny. The way I do this, by the way, is if it's just 3 days, I'm going to do it with the Sim Blender because it's always 3 days added automatically when you do 3 days older. If it's more or less than 3 days, I'm going to do it with SimPE, because you can edit the number of days that your Sims have left on SimPE. Now, next thing I want to talk about is the number of kids that I let my Sims have. And I thought about it while looking at my beautiful oldie family right here, because they had more than what I normally allow. I know people love to do this kind of thing, like family Sims can have 3, knowledge Sims can have 2, romance Sims can have 1. I go with the gut feeling most of the time. Enid and Charlie are both family Sims, so they had 3 because they had twins the first time around, and I thought, well, that's kind of I kind of wanted her to have 2 pregnancies, so I thought, let's have another. Let's have another. If I'm risking twins a second time, then I'm risking it. I was stupid for doing it. They ended up with 3, and I'm glad with the 3 I got. They're all so pretty, and Enid is also a dirty cheater, but that's besides the point. So what I usually do is I don't necessarily base myself off of aspiration. I base myself off of wants. If I have a fortune sim that somehow rolls the one to have a baby multiple times, oftentimes I'm going to be at my PC like, oh my god, that's so cute, and I'm going to give that fortune sim his or her baby, If I have decided, if it is clear in my head, these people are only having 1, I'm just going to ignore the have a baby want. Because family sims, what they'll do is they'll roll it no matter what. They'll like, look at this. Oh shit, I loaded out. But Charlie, if you saw, had both the want and the fear to have a baby. If you're gonna do shit to like that, I'm just not gonna, like, I'm not interested in giving you that baby, Another rule regarding babies that I have that might be strange is when I have Sims of alien descent, they can pretty much impregnate anyone. As Marticor once said in a video, and I really like the way she said it, she just said, we don't know how the hell they work, the aliens. They get normal male Sims pregnant, so why couldn't descendants of aliens do the same? So that's why in the case of like Kit and Finnick, who are in a relationship together, Finnick might carry natural children, which is not something that I would do with 2 human male Sims. Except I have like variations to my rules all the time. Basically what I found out is that Angel right here, Angel who's now Burb Dreamer, I know, Angel was adopted, but he got the towny face. Well, he got the face of his mom only. I was never able to find his dad because he just straight up got the face of his mom. I thought, if I get the sim that was used as a base for Angel pregnant with Heath, a sim blender pregnancy, not a pregnancy, I'm gonna get the mix of both of them, and I did. Harlow is exactly in the middle between them, and the story I imagine in my head is that she was a surrogate for them because they met her later in life and they were great friends. But technically what I did is I mixed both of my cis male Sims together and made a baby. But that's okay because she's really pretty. So I'm excused basically. But usually I would never ever do that. It's not that it feels wrong or anything, it's just, if I'm gonna do that, I really need the pretext of having an alien sim to do it. Also, by the way, yes, Angel did get abducted right before he became an elder and had little alien baby. I did not do that on purpose. Also, with babies, something I try to do, I don't do it all the time because sometimes it gets really hectic. I'm trying to find a household with a baby. It gets really hectic, and especially in the case of this family, they still live in an apartment, so I can't really do it. But usually what I try to do, get this little bassinet, and when they're a baby, I think it's like, it doesn't feel right to leave them alone in a room. So I'll put the bassinet like in the house like this, whatever, and just take the baby with me everywhere I go so that it's not alone. Because with a real life baby, you couldn't just leave it on the bed like this and just go. Like, that's not something you could do. So I try to keep this baby on the bed thing for just when the parents are sleeping. Except in this situation, I kind of just leave it there because I don't have, like, I don't even have a changing station in this house. I should get one. That would be a good idea. There we go. I'll also generally try to stick with the first baby that I get. If I have Sims that have a baby, I'm not going to like redo the. Why is her TV dinner disappear? Oh my god, what's happening? Anyway, if I have Sims that are having a baby and I roll the pacifier to get a more mixed baby, and well, at that time, if that's what happens, I need to take the baby. Oh shit, they're both sick. I need to take the baby that the game has given me. You know, I need to take the first baby. I don't always stick with this. Sometimes I will absolutely want a girl, but or a boy from a certain couple, but it's like it's very important to me that I let things happen as they would in life, or as good as I can do that. But yes, usually I try to go with the first baby and like just deal with that, you know. My play style is also what we call actually in the Sims 2 community wants based. What that means is I need wants to do things. Unless a pregnancy happens unexpectedly with ACR, I need a want to have a baby to actually click on try for baby. I'm not gonna make Sims try for baby if they don't want to. You know, that's nonsensical to me. I have pretty much as many good examples of this as I have bad. For example, Savannah here, Cyril's daughter, first daughter, had the one to have a baby right after she divorced with her husband. So what she did is she went out, woohooed with the first man she saw that liked her, and now she has a son that she's alone to raise with her stepmother, and her father's dead. It's not a great situation for her to be in, but she wanted, she wished for it. She even wished to woohoo. She wanted to specifically woohoo and have a baby. It's not something that I absolutely had to do. Gail that we saw in university earlier is her son as well. She already had a son, but as I've said multiple times, I don't let the way I was thinking of the game to go get in the way of a good story. You know, it's not because I thought that Savannah, I was capping her at one and she was going to be one of my families that only have one child. It's not because it used to be that way, that now with the new situation and the new wants, I'm not going to do something completely different. Also, in this situation, in this particular situation, Rhiannon and Vanellope are married with each other. I think it was Vanellope that wanted a baby. I'm not sure anymore. One of them did, the other did not. And the way I decided to go with both of them was to have a donor basically help with that. And that resulted in twins. And I was very happy about that, of course. But what I did basically is I took a townie that they were both friends with that I pictured would be down to help them with that. Someone that they could ask. Like, I need stuff like that to justify what I'm doing. Otherwise, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like something I should be allowed to do. And their father technically is, they don't even know him. Their father technically is Odin, who she has 3 bolts with. But let's know. Okay, you have a wife. But in the family tree, the way I put it up, the kids are both of their mom's kids. If Odin has other children with other Sims, or if he joins a family and stuff, I need to be careful to also consider the kids as his, because they look like him. Like, it'd be weird if they went around and got with his other kids, because technically they are not related, but they are. But yes, that is something I'll allow myself to do, but it's, you know, it's it's a bit more dangerous. Now, things I absolutely will not ever do. Resurrect Sim. That's a no-no. Even if my Sim has the one to resurrect a Sim and they have this one that's just coming back and back again and back again and back again. Every morning they wake up with the one to resurrect a Sim. I will not do it. Simply put, it's not realistic. And when someone's dead, they're dead. I have had tragic deaths happen because of sickness, some more since Ryder died. But even in cases like this, I will not resurrect my Sims. They're dead, they're buried. You know, what's done is done. And I think I didn't even really say what I kept my Sims at with babies. 2 is the most that you can have usually. If I can keep it at 1, I will. Like in the case of them right here, I think they're only gonna have the 1, because if I don't do that, the Sims that have 3, or the multiple families that have 2, I would end up with that's not where I wanted to go. Oh, there. I would end up with way too many Sims, and it would make the hood unplayable, basically. I've already been polluting downtown with my families now, because there's so many apartment buildings in Katachi's downtown, and I've been putting my families there because I had a surplus for what I could put down in Pleasant View. So I've been having families in there as well. Also, that's not exactly a rule. It's more like a thing I wish would happen more. But as you can see, Kieran and Thalia are both elders, and they have Quentin, their young child. Basically what happened is Thalia got pregnant, I think 4 days away from becoming an elder. Usually I would stop my Sims even being able to get pregnant at about 10 days away from elder. Since my lifespan for adults is so long, I kind of need to cap them out at about the age like about 50 years old, because otherwise, once again, it doesn't feel realistic. But in this case, it was a failure of their birth control, so I thought, that's fine, you know, whatever, you know. But what happened is that Kieran ended up with 4 kids, which is not my favorite number of kids for a Sim to have. If a Sim has had children with one partner and something goes awry, they divorce, they get with someone else, and then they want a child, maybe then in that case I'll let them have 3, just like I did with Dash and Gemma. Dash already had a daughter with Imani, his ex-wife, and when he moved in with Gemma, who was his real love, they already had a son together, and I made them have another. In that case, it's more justified. I'm realizing that most of my gameplay rules are about babies and like breeding. That's nice. Now, I guess money-wise, I don't let my Sims have the 20k at the beginning. If I need money to buy an expensive house, like I did with Violet right there, Violet and her boyfriend Toller only had about $2,000, $3,000 coming out of college, but I wanted them to have a house. I didn't want them to go live into an apartment building because their family is very rich. This is the house that Violet's parents own. So like, they got money, you know? And I felt like it didn't seem right to just have them move into an apartment and make their way up from the apartment. And so what I did is I have Monix Act Computer, which has bank accounts to the game, and I had her relatives, her parents, as well as her aunt that kept the family estate, sent her money so that she could purchase the house that she wanted, and now she lives right there. So that's something I try to do, and I feel that it's justified. I have families that have so much money in the bank, like the oldies there that never left the family home that Herb and Coral bought, like at this point 120 years ago. They have amounted so much wealth between all of them that they now have $230,000. I honestly don't even know how I could spend that much in a house renovation. I could try. I'm sure I could add so much room to this house that I would go through that amount of money. But I think it's important to think about the future generations, the kids that she and her husband Stuart will have. Are they going to want to move away and buy a house of their own? If I want to prepare for that, I need to keep the money in the bank, and I can also put some away, deposit some money to make it like grow even more. I think Wyatt's got a lot in his bank account. I think multi-generational wealth is something that I'm going to have to deal with soon enough, because it's getting ridiculous in some households. But yes, that's pretty much how I deal with money. My Sims, when they get a bit of money from school for something like a contest or a competition, or they get grants in university, I'll put that money in their bank account so it stays theirs and doesn't go like in the household funds for everyone to use, because that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Now, of course, another rule I have is I don't let Sims who are related in any way to each other get together. That sounds logical. In the Sims 2 vanilla game, you can pretty much marry your first cousin without any issue. I have a mod that makes the family ties even larger on the family trees. You couldn't get together with like a cousin of your cousin, or you couldn't get together with the daughter of your I don't know, your great uncle or something like that. The mod itself has limitations. I have had situations where people pointed out that Sims were more related than I thought they were and they got together. Like, I think the mod I have makes exceptions for Sims that were adopted. I don't know why it does this, but I think that's what happened. Last but not least, I wanted to talk about aspirations. How do I decide the aspirations for my Sims when they age up into teenagers? For this, I'm going to take little Blossom right here as an example. Since she's a child, I'm going to show you what I would do and what I use basically to decide the aspiration for a child when they become a teenager. First of all, I take note of the sign. She's a Capricorn. Capricorn usually means knowledge, maybe knowledge or fortune. They're usually the ones that I kind of confuse together. I think it's supposed to be knowledge. I'm not sure. I know Sagittarius is supposed. Oh no! Look, she's a Capricorn as well, and she's a pleasure sim. Well, I don't know what it means anymore. So I would take a picture of this personality. Basically, what I'm seeing right now. Very neat, very outgoing. Could be anything, really. Could be a popularity sim for the outgoing part. The neat part makes me think more like cleaning skill, jobs that have to do with the cleaning skill, like medicine, science, things like that. Then that makes me think knowledge. She's very lazy, so that goes against popularity kind of for me, though it's not always linked with the way that the aspirations are given out. But to me, a sim that's more lazy doesn't go really well with the typical popularity sim of being really into sports and fitness and the sports parties and, you know, the athletic career. Doesn't really go together. I know there are exceptions to that rule depending on the sign that you are, basically, but to me it plays a role. Then she's very playful, so once I'm again flipping. I'm going back to popularity. Now I'm thinking pleasure, like her mother, with the mixture I'm seeing here. And she's also very nice, so that brings in the family sim aspect of all this. This could be a wonderful family sim that's just very fun with their kids. I didn't used to do things this way. I used to just give them the aspiration that went with their zodiac sign and call it a day. But now I do it a bit more. I do it with an Excel spreadsheet and with my own judgment of what I'm seeing right now with my eyes. What am I seeing? What am I looking at? I'm gonna stop the recording in the game right now and get back to you in the Excel spreadsheet. So here we are in my aspiration breakdown Excel sheet. Yes. The way I did this basically is I assigned 2 aspiration for every sign in the zodiac. I have added another thing now that wasn't there the last time I showed this. I have added the typical values for every sign when you make a sim in CAS. So these are the values that the game will give you if you just click on Pisces when you're making a sim. This is the default values that you're gonna get. I base myself off of 2 things: the feel I get from the sim in game and the values I get from this small board. So basically what I'll do is if I have, I'm going to take my, I'm going to take Blossom as an example since I have her file open right here. So I am going to go up to Capricorn since she's a Capricorn, and it's between fortune and pleasure. Basically, I have my typical Capricorn values right here, which I'm going to be able to compare to Blossom's personality. So for Blossom's personality, we have an 8 in sloppy and neat, so that's over 5. So I would come here and put an X for now. Then between shy and outgoing, we have another 8. So that would be in pleasure since this is less than 5 and this is 5 and up. So we're gonna wait for the truck to pass. So I'm gonna put an X there. Then in lazy and active, we have 1. So that is less than 4. So I'm going to go and put another X here. Then in serious playful, we have a 7 that is over 6. So I'm gonna put an X there. And in grouchy and nice, we have a whopping 10. So that would be another X there. So what I get from this is that she would be a fortune sim and the pleasure secondary. If I have 4 X's on one side and 1 in the other, or 5 and 0, that's never happened yet, but if that was to happen, I would make the sim fully fortune. But since I have 2 values still that are more that I liken more to pleasure aspiration, I would make her a secondary pleasure because I feel like that's in her character, that's in her personality. She's a lot more outgoing than the typical Capricorn, which is what skews me in the way of pleasure, could even skew me in the way of popularity. If I felt like it fit a lot better, I might go with popularity over pleasure. But in this case, I think pleasure would fit her just fine as a secondary aspiration and fortune as a main aspiration. I'm also kind of over them being pleasure sims. Like Victoria was a pleasure sim, her mother Orion is a pleasure sim, and she would be as well. Like no, let's calm down. I'm gonna make her a fortune sim and a pleasure secondary. So that is how I would work this out. I have very conflicting aspirations for one sign, like Scorpio. Scorpio is between fortune and romance, which are very different from one another. In this case, I would base myself off of the feel of the sim in game a lot more than maybe the values I would get here. I would take the values into consideration, especially if it looks something like that. But I am mostly going to go with how the sim feels in game. Do they feel like they could be a romance sim? Do I feel like they could have it in them? Or do I feel like it's really not who they are and I should look elsewhere towards fortune? So that's how I work this out. It looks a bit messy. You really just have to look for the side that you want and then come here at the bottom to do your little X's and O's. I keep this at the bottom to remind myself that the more than means more than 5, so 6, 7, 8, 9, and the less than sign means like if it's less than 5, like it is here, it is 5 and less, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0. In some cases you get a 0. And yeah, so if you want this file made available, I know last time someone asked me, I said I needed to tweak it a little bit before I would make it available. I think I'm ready to do that now. It's pretty much the last stage it'll ever be in. I have tweaked with stuff, I have fixed some things, and I think it's pretty much perfect now for the purpose I have for it. So if you want it, it's going to be linked down below. Well, that's gonna be it for me. As always, guys, I love you and I care about you. Please follow me on all of my social medias. They will be linked down below, as well as my Ko-fi if that is something that could interest you. Sleep tight. Don't let the Bud Light bite. Bye.